Welcome to Prepping for the Sharks, where you tune in to practical and tactical tips for building your business, featuring our live hot seat pitch coaching show. But today we're talking with a special expert guest. I'm Burke Franklin. I developed the first business planning software system called Biz Plan Builder, making it easier to make sense to investors. Also with me are our co-hosts, Robert Browning. He's a proven senior executive, entrepreneur, and community leader with more than 40 years of successful business development experience. And Fred Parrish. He's the creator of Prepping for the Sharks. He's a seasoned executive, author, management consultant who focuses on improving business performance at every level of the organization. And a warm welcome to our special guest, Elke Scholz. And our topic today is aligning your passion with your business. Now, Elke is MA, RP. I don't know what all these things mean, but we'll have it on the site. Is a registered psychotherapist, an internationally registered expressive art consultant at Educator, and an internationally certified EMDR therapist. We'll find out what that is in a moment. And she is well-known author of third edition Loving Your Life, containing over 40 creative exercises as an ebook and paperback. This book is internationally available, teen-friendly, and now translated even into German. Elke has launched Anxiety Warrior, Volume 1 and 2, both with powerful tools for your journey to emotional freedom. Elke manages her own anxiety. She believes strategies can be accessible and easy for people to lower their anxiety levels. And Elke is excited to announce her new webinar, Energy Rich, and her audio meditation series based on her book, Loving Your Life. And her work includes creative anti-anxiety wellness kits for employees, youth at risk, and seniors in managing anxiety and depression. For over 30 years, Elke has developed people and runs her private therapy practice in Bracebridge, Muskoka, Canada, in person and in Zoom sessions. She's a keynote speaker and has facilitated conferences, enjoys giving interviews on podcasts, radio, and TV. And you can find Elke's work on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and international audio platforms. Okay, let's get into it. Her passion is to empower people. She loves to work in her life. You'll see that soon enough. And the topic today is aligning your passion with your business. Robert?
Well, Elke, yeah, before we get started here, I just want you to know we could all use a little therapy. So work your magic.
Let's have it right now. Give us some therapy.
Yeah, I would. And the title is interesting. And I would love to, Elke, to open up just talking about her wide scoped skills and abilities and how that can be applied to business in the context of our podcast today.
Yeah, so one of the things, and I thought about this, is if we don't line up to our passion, and if we don't follow our heart or intuition or this energy, then we're going to burn out and we're not going to be happy. And really, life is so precious. It's a miracle. It's important to be happy. It's important to thrive. So aligning yourself, and it's not just business, it's your whole life. So the skills that I'm going to talk about and share, we can use that with making decisions, whether it's what you wear today, like changing your shirt, or whether it's getting gas today, or whether it's what you're going to eat. As we strengthen these muscles, and I'll talk a little more about that, it's going to help us with our decision making, which is really so much about business, right?
Yes.
So what can you tell our audience about inspiration and passion?
Well, it's 100%, it's important. If we're not inspired in our work, if it doesn't excite you, then you really want to have a look at it. And again, one of the things I thought what we could do and talk about is how to get there, how to develop that energy muscle, that yes muscle, the hell yes muscle. We all have it. It's there. And if you want me to jump right into that, I can.
I think about, how you could be really excited about something. Think, well, I can't get paid for that. I would do that for nothing. Or, it's something that you would just want to do, but think, really, can I build a business on doing that? Could you talk about that a bit?
100%. Actually, I just launched an audio series. I was so passionate about it. And I'm a creator, so I was just writing. And I knew I was going to do it. I actually was turned down the first time. And then I just kind of went, okay, why what was it that they needed from me. And then we lined up, and they said, try again. And for me, I was going to do it for nothing. And I found out later that I'm getting royalties. And here's an interesting thing, and I don't know your audience so well. However, when we go into the field, the universe, energy, when we start what we love, when we do our passion, it starts to attract people, questions, other opportunities. They come to you, whether it's raising money for people that need food. And no matter how you do that, so follow your passion, follow it. And also with reason. I mean, you don't want to put yourself in the poorhouse volunteering. However, starting and following your passion, just like what you guys are doing with prepping for the sharks, people are going to start being attracted. They're going to watch. They're going to want to know more. And other opportunities are going to come up. And we don't know what those are. And I feel like my life has been a lot of really cool opportunities.
Yeah.
So,
And you know what I have found, Elke, is that if you're not passionate about what you're doing, it is hard to get out of bed in the morning. Because
Right.
you think, okay, I've got to go slam my head in that door all day long. I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And, I've had positions where I was very passionate about it. And I've had others where I just worked with some miserable people and I couldn't wait to leave at whatever time. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it was 8 or 9 at night because they were just terrible managers. But I don't know how you do it without having passion. If you are trying to build a business that you are not passionate about, I don't know how you succeed at that.
Well, here's a great example. So for your viewers is, why would you go to somebody, like, let's say the energy level is low and they're talking to you like this, or they're upset or stressed out, or why would you want to deal with that? Wouldn't you want to deal with somebody that's like really excited about what their product is? Because it's about serving. And when you're excited about something, it's really easy to talk about it. And just so you know, I would have never been a public speaker had you talked to me as a kid. I have mild dyslexia. Sometimes you pick it up. I switch words. Also, my first language is not English, it's German, so that I switch my grammar around all the time. That's why I have editors. I have good editors. And I'm also very much an introvert. However, I'm so passionate about helping people and I see, my gift is that I see things that are simple and they really work well. And so I was just talking to a coach this morning, and she's a dear friend of mine. She's a coach and she's struggling with burnout. So we were talking about a few strategies, and she knows some of these strategies, though I said, have you heard of this one? And this is the one I'd love to share for this show. And she hadn't heard of it the way I described it. And it's really easy. It can be a lot of fun. And the thing is, you're expanding the yes muscle, which is your energy. And you're also noticing when your energy drops. And so many of us are walking around, we're not paying attention to it. We get up in the morning, we do our thing, we think we got to do this or that and drive to work or whatever. And we're not watching or paying attention to what's going on in our bodies, which is really our best barometer.
Just to add a point to that, I'm on these panels with investors listening to pitches. And what I find is most of them they're first of all, they bet on the jockey, not the horse. And as you know, horse races are won by a nose, or oftentimes. And so they want to know, why. What's your why? What's your motivation behind this business? Because they know that they want to know that you're going to get back on the horse after you've been thrown off a million times. And
right.
So I know from my own experience in this, my business has been thrown off the horse a million times. Get back on it. And they want to know that you're going to get back on the horse, not just fall off and cry and go home. They want to know that passion is what gets you back on the horse.
Right. And it's your belief, and that is your excitement to get up in the morning. Like yeah, anyways, I've almost got to do the opposite and say, okay, calm down, brain. I need to rest. Figure it out in the back office. And yeah, so
Elka, isn't a key being self-aware so you're at least aware of your own thoughts?
oh,
And
100%, 100%. And maybe this is where I go into this exercise. I mean, I can talk about, doesn't mean we have to go into the meditation. I think your viewers and you guys will get it. And yeah, self-awareness is part of it. It's just that so much of us are in reaction mode or mechanical mode that we're not paying attention to how our body, our energy rises and drops. And like, you don't have to believe me. I always tell people, don't believe me, believe yourself. Like, your body is your best barometer. And so that awareness, like the Japanese have a saying, and it's actually a business saying, is they'll swallow an idea. So they swallow the idea, they take it into their bodies and they feel it, and then they let their body tell them if this is a good idea or not, or if this is the way to go. And we can do the same in different ways. So the exercise, why don't I go into it, and then maybe it'll prompt more
yeah,
questions or
Okay.
ideas. So when we were born, and I got to make sure I'm in the center of the screen. When we were born, we were very clear. Yes was wrapped up, being warm, having a full belly, snuggling, hearing a heartbeat. That was our yes. Our no was maybe cramps, hungry, wet diaper. Very clear, no question, yes and no. So as we grow, and our culture, and it's not a good or bad, it just is, we adopt our culture. We also adopt social and social beliefs. So we get into our heads. So what happens is the yes place gets further apart, and a maybe place gets bigger. So here's how a subtle one happens when we're little. And I've seen busy moms do it, and they don't do it on purpose. It's not to trash moms, not at all. However, we do it because we're busy. So we've just fed, our child, and maybe that's happened to you as a child. And then you're hungry, like kids are hungry 24/7. So you're hungry like 15 minutes later. Mom, I'm hungry. No, you're not. Well, I'm thirsty. No, you're not, because you just had a drink, right? So then the little one, you think, oh, well, wait a minute. This person that's like, like the adult, this big person is telling me I'm not hungry. So we start doubting. So it starts then. Boys don't cry. Girls don't get angry. Like, we hear these messages growing up. There's advertising, all kinds of influences. So let's not blame our parents. It could be teachers, it could be church, it could be magazines, TV, cartoons, whatever. We're getting all these kinds of mixed messages. So now, as we're growing, and I got to stay in the center, the maybe place gets really big. So our yeses, like all of us right now, can think of a yes that's very strong for us. Right now, you can think of something that I won't do the meditation because it's not the venue for it, but you think of a very strong, when you were on top of the world, feeling like $1,000,000. That's your yes. We all know what a strong hell yes is. And we also know what a no is: oppression, anger, grief. It's not hard to pull up a memory. So we have these we have these extremes, right? And it's important. When I do the meditation, I do that with a client. I also write about it in my books, especially, I think Anxiety Warrior 1 has it, is give yourself time and feel it in your body. So then the exercise, and I talked to my coach this morning about it. I said, it's net time, no extra time. You just remember to do it as often as possible. So in the morning when you get up, I did it this morning. What color do I want to wear? What do I feel good with? I was drawn to this. So I just do it. I play with it, play with little things. And it keeps growing that high energy yes muscle. So then when something, something else comes about, whether it's shopping, even shopping for groceries, check in with your body. It's very easy to do. And we've all have it. And Robert, you mentioned awareness. Some of us call it gut, our guts, our instinct, our sixth sense. That also it's just different language. So it's the same.
It could be too when you're communicating and it's a big no for you and you're feeling negative. But if you got a negative charge going, if you don't have the awareness to wait till that dies down a bit, you can create some adversity inadvertently.
Right. And we got to take care of that too. So the hell yeses are the most fun. And I also call them thunderbolts. That's a Greek from the Greek, is when you get that where you just go, raw, that's it. Like it's like feeling a thunderbolt of electricity and passion. You follow those. And sometimes they don't make sense in your head. They don't make sense on paper. And it's interesting that it'll be life-changing. It works out. Any thunderbolt I've ever followed worked out. It just does. And it supersedes, the pros and cons sheet and all that. And it eventually it'll sort itself out. And you're right, Robert, if we're in a place of grief, which of course we don't want to push, grief is on its own in a way, we've got to just process that. Or if we're in a state of anger, we're not going to hear that inner voice. We're not going to hear this checking in. However, if we keep practicing, so, even after the show is, what are you going to do next? I don't know. We're all on different time zones, right? And it could be, well, maybe I'm going to have a snack. What's that snack going to be? Trust your body. Maybe I'm going to call so-and-so, or like somebody, you just said, I don't feel like doing that. I had one, I just want to give you an example. So a couple days ago, I went to a ceremony and they were taking lots of pictures and I wasn't comfortable with it. And I didn't speak up. So there was a no. Okay. It was subtle. And then today, one of the people, they were posting these pictures all over the internet, and I just went, no, you got to shut that down. And though I didn't listen, right? So it's like listening to that voice, and it wasn't serious. It's not a big thing. It's not going to destroy anything or hurt anything. It just is a comfort thing. My spiritual practice is very private, so I don't want my picture all over the place from this event. So it's just listening. So does that help, or do you want me to expand on something here?
So it would have been easier to follow your gut initially and saying, no, don't take my picture, but you didn't. And so now now it's more difficult because the picture is taken, it's up, and now you have to reach out and say, take that down if you're going to do it.
And I did reach out and I took responsibility. I said to my friends, I said, look, I know I didn't speak up. So please don't stress about it. Just know it's my comfort. However, so then we have to repair or backpedal, and we all know that that can happen. So though those little reminders for me are just reminders to go, listen, because there'll be bigger decisions. So we're making hundreds and thousands of decisions every day, constantly, however we're moving through a room, how we're talking with each other, whatever we're doing with our clients, and how we're working, right? We're making decisions all the time. So why not trust your body? So here's how you do it is, let's say, if I'm walking out my studio, outside, all I have to do is take a millisecond and go, how does that feel? Like right now, we're having like spectacular weather, like just unbelievably gorgeous weather. Oh, how does that feel? I'm getting things ready to rent my studio. Okay, trusting, and it takes moments and seconds just to slow down and just to check in and go, okay, is this feeling right? Or if there's a niggle, like these niggles, I don't know how you guys feel it, but it's that uneasiness. That's a signal to pause. It's just a signal. It doesn't mean something's always wrong. You've got to pause. I had another one last night. I was doing a workshop and I meant to tell the facilitator and just say, oh, did they e-transfer me? And then I went, oh no, they'll look after it. And she emailed me this morning. She had a check and she had forgotten to give it to me. So again, nothing serious, but now I got to wait 3 weeks to get it because we have a mail strike and I'm not back at the facility and it's like 45 minutes away. I'm not going to drive out there to get a check. So it just to me, it's fun. When it's not a big thing, it's not going to hurt me. However, again, it was just that little thing that went, Elka, you got to listen to those niggles. And yeah, you're laughing. So I'm sure we've all had those. We want to strengthen them. And yeah.
I'm thinking of times where I've acted on impulse. This is almost like acting on impulse, but it's not. It's like recognizing there's something I need to act on, but then kind of procrastinating versus acting on impulse. Because I would say I would credit most of my mistakes in life to acting on impulse. Buy now, that kind of thing. Get it now, do it. There's certain things I know I need to do now, kind of what you're talking about, so you don't have to wait 3 weeks for a check. Ask for it today. And then there's times where I bought something, did something, agreed to something where I was acting now, but it felt impulsive. I really hadn't thought it through. So I just want to say there's this difference between these two variations of that, which one do you act on?
Well, I have a few clues for that. So that's a great question and a great insight. So interesting, what I noticed in both instances, I heard that voice a few times, not just once. So even while I was facilitating, this idea of mentioning it to I guess the coordinator came in a couple times. And so, it's listening when it comes a couple times. So the impulse, that's an interesting one. So here's the check-in though. So let's say you get this impulse, whether it's to buy something that because that's what you brought up. So let's say you go, I really want that. Take a moment, breathe, check in, and just go, oh, is this coming from a place of groundedness? Is this what I need? And I get those too. So sometimes I walk away and I just go, okay, if it's really strong, tomorrow or later in the afternoon, if you're, out and about or whatever, then yeah, I go back and I'll follow that impulse. However, sometimes it just goes away. And then you kind of know, oh yeah, that was just, maybe ego or something else just going, chattering. So there's little check-ins for that. And that happened actually with the photos as well, is that voice. And let's take it back to business. I don't know if any therapists will be listening or counselors or caregivers, is when I'm tuning into someone, I do channel that energy. Like, I don't think it's just my intelligence. I think that that's coming through is when I hear something a few times, like sometimes I get this thing, tell them this, and I override it and I just go, oh, I don't know, tell them that. And then I just say to my client, go, look I'm getting this, that I've got to tell you this. And then they'll sit back and go, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So we got to really trust that voice. And I think, Burke, you reminded me that it does come, and usually we get a couple chances to listen.
And listening is also all these different techniques for dealing with the differences in people. If somebody's more self-contained, you don't want to be manipulative, but you want to kind of match their energy and not bowl them over if you're a huge extrovert. And some people are more open. You could be more open, but if they're more holding back, but if you don't have the awareness to know that, you could be creating a lot of problems inadvertently from lack of awareness of tuning into other people.
Right. And that's one of the things when you say some of the highlights of self-awareness is to pause. Like, how often do we just pause and take a breath?
Yeah. And it's a famous book, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, and the simple thing of purpose and meaning, which this is a big part of this, is the people that didn't have some sort of greater purpose and meaning didn't survive.
Yeah.
And the ones that had some sort of purpose and meaning survived. And that's when he developed logotherapy about purpose and meaning. And on a related note, your parents mean well, but sometimes they want you to be someone, maybe someone that they wanted to be, but they want you to be that now. Like my dad wanted me to be an attorney. And then I went to traditional work, et cetera, et cetera. But after a book that I read called Scripts People Live, I realized that a lot of what I was thinking was a script that somebody else gave me that I believed that wasn't my own script, that somehow, if that makes sense.
It does, because what you're expressing, what I'm hearing is it didn't feel right, right? It's back to like our bodies, you can trust your body. And so if we're feeling uncomfortable, if there's kind of a niggle, something going on, it really is cause to pause. And to just slow down. And it only takes seconds. And I love, Burke, what you said is then we're not backpedaling. So it actually saves time. So this slowing down, pausing, and tuning into what's going on here saves time in the long run, like 100%, 1000%. Because then we're not repairing. Then we're not calling that person going, by the way, or waiting for that check. Right. And those are just little reminders, right? They're not earth changing, but then sometimes the decisions we are making in business are really life-changing, whether it's for us or that other person, right?
So how do you impart that to your staff? It could be a production environment. It could be an office environment. It could be your board, a whole host of different settings for that question, but you really need to impact every one of them.
Yeah, I've given that workshop, the yes, no, maybe workshop to community workers, and it was like a workshop for them, and it helped with how they were in their own lives because they were caregivers. So they were working in group homes, and a lot of them were suffering from burnout, and they were unhappy. So when I taught them this idea, they started getting excited. And you know what happens? There's a ripple effect. So by teaching staff this and they're happier, like just like what I talked to my coach friend today, I said, it's not work burning you out. It's all these other things in life. So a lot of times staff will blame work, or they blame a boss, or they blame a system. And maybe it's not the best or up to par, but that's not what's making them unhappy. So by teaching them, so just teach them. And I have signs up around my house that say pause, breathe, and notice. So I don't know if that's answering your question.
Well, I mean, I think yes. Maybe are there some really brief exercises that they can help people to really understand what is going on? Because in my experience, people approach the same situation completely differently depending on who they are.
Right.
And somehow in every business, you have to reach some equilibrium. And that would be true, balancing everything across all of the activity, all of the different departments, all of the different requirements. In order for a company to operate well, there has to be, I'm going to use the term harmony, but it's not really that, but it is, again, a balancing of all of that activity so that you don't have one department in the company where everybody wants to go and choke everybody out and the rest of the company is okay. But if that company, I mean, that department has that mentality, let's call it, it affects how the rest of the organization works.
Right.
as part of building a culture is certain levels of awareness, and things roll downhill to some degree, and so can poor leadership, and so can great leadership, which is usually, if you're an excellent leader, it's because you can pause a bit.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've done is I've gone into, we don't have, I don't think we have Nortel anymore. It was one of the biggest communication companies
Right.
in Canada. I went in and I did a workshop on coming back to your passion and coming back to yourself. And that's what loving your life, there it is, loving your life is about. And it's these exercises that help people come back to who they are. And when you know who you are, most of us, 95% of us, we're kind, loving, beautiful people. We're creative, imaginative, we're inspired. That's who we are as humans. However, like I said, we've lost that. And so what I'm hearing, when you say about that there's this disharmony, then there isn't a general kind of band-aid for that. I would come in and say, okay, what's going on here? How are they reacting? What are they doing? Da 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 da, right? Because there is the disharmony, and you want harmony. And when you're happy, you're going to exude harmony. You can't be miserable. You can't be happy and miserable at the same time. So you want to bring people back to their passion. And that's kind of what happened when I did the workshop with the caregivers. They got passionate, they were healthier, less sick time, they were excited about their life, because we did a pre and then we did a follow-up, because we really wanted to see, was this going to work? Or, was this all?
So was the management in that workshop or workshops, plural? Because in my experience,
they did come, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it would not work if they were not.
Right.
Because I have, Robert and Burke and I have talked about some things over the year or so that we've been having these podcasts. And I have this thing I call Fred's bag of horrors. And, I can go back to some of the most miserable situations you can ever imagine. And in those particular settings, now they were, decades ago. So I think the world today is a different place, and those people would never get away with the things that they did in the 80s and 90s. It just would not fly today. But it is absolutely certain that if those, I'm going to call them leaders, did not have a similar objective in mind, all of the self-care in the world goes away when you walk in the door and someone hits you in the face with a big, ugly thing. And
right. But then that's where, it's again, this idea of being centered. So no matter what situation that you come in, I'm not saying my life is seamless or that people aren't crazy around me. They are. You wouldn't believe. I could spend
I would believe
3 hours telling you what just happened from June until now. And you just go, seriously? And yeah, seriously. So though the more centered we are, and I'd still come back to that because it's everything. If we don't know who we are, and that's not even my question, it's an old question. Know who you are, know thyself, right? To thyself be true. That and exploring that and then helping people with that, because then what happens is when you walk in a situation and somebody's being an a-hole, you just go, you're being an a-hole right now. And I don't really care who you are. You can be way up here or way down here, and you are in your center. And the other thing is you do it with love. So it's not that I don't call people names, actually. I don't actually even say that. I might think it, but um, I don't say it out loud. And the thing is, though, I'll take a moment and step back, and I've had to do that and stand up for fairness and clarity. And the clearer we are, and it boggles my mind how people they'll either back down or they become nice and responsible, which is fascinating in itself.
Yes.
Oh, though by being grounded, and the thing is, that's where, Fred, I'm saying to empower, you empower the staff, you empower yourself, because when you do that, then you're not going to get bullied because it just won't happen. If somebody says something, you just go, did you mean that, or was that a joke? Right? We don't get, like, there's a whole different sense of when we're strong and feel good about us and what we're doing. And so, yeah, I rest my case.
I like the idea of walkaway power, but sometimes we don't have it. That if somebody is so unreasonable and has negative patterns, that you have the power to walk away and go somewhere else. But
Right. And
sometimes,
that's an option too. It's a choice, right? And sometimes we do that. We'll walk away from either maybe family or friends or a job or a
Yeah.
situation or the
Yeah.
grocery store when somebody's cranky. We just go, you know what? It's better just to leave it alone. So yeah, that's an option.
100%. And, again, the bag of horrors, you can tell how much I've been through because of how I look. I'm only 32. So this is what the bag of horrors
right?
will do to you.
Yeah, right.
You don't
Yeah.
believe that, do you?
What inspired you to actually write your book? And that's writing a book is a big project. And so you wrote Loving Your Life. And
Yeah. And yeah, thank you for that. So when I was younger in high school, and I've always been a writer. I never identified as a writer until I published a couple books, which is interesting. I write every single day. Always, I'm right. And so Loving Your Life, I knew that one day I would write a book. I didn't know about what. And the way it came about was conversations. So I've done a lot of facilitation. And for me, the way I did facilitation is I wanted people to be really successful. And I would always think, why are my students doing so well? Because their trajectory they were just like massively successful, whether it was through calligraphy or art, whether it was inner city kids. So I would always sit back and go, what is it? And then I would study. And then what happened when I was up here teaching art classes, people wanted to talk. So doing art together creates community. And people would ask the most interesting questions. So after class, I would go and on my computer and write. So I wrote articles for magazines and other books. And one day I kind of went, you know what? There's a book here. There's my book. And that's how that one was inspired. And that one took me 7 years. I would have never have done it if someone said it's going to take you 7 years. I tried to quit a couple times and I couldn't. I lasted 3 days and then I had to write again. The other two books came out of because I managed my own anxiety, and I tell the story in the book, and it's on my website, so I won't tell the story here. I don't think we have time, but um, how I discovered my anxiety. And then it was this mystery of, how did anxiety go away? One day it went away in a second, another day it stayed around till noon. And so I discovered there's 11 different sources of anxiety. And so that's where I was lecturing at a First Nations reserve yesterday, as we were talking about anxiety. And that's how the book came. The book came because I felt like a broken record. And I went, you know what? I'm going to start doing talks. And I hadn't done talks. So I started at my church. I started at senior centers, Probus. I went to the school and said, because people don't have insurance. Some people do, but most people don't. And so I always tell people the books cost less than a pizza, which means pretty much everybody buys pizza at one point or another. And they're just chock full of resources, because that was a feedback I got from my talks is, where are the resources? We can't find them. And I went, you're right, they're not out there. So these books are resource books. Some people say they read them, and I go, well, that's sweet of you to try to read my book, but they're not meant that way. They're definitely resources for managing anxiety and coming to your passion.
My sister is loving, you had sent me those books, and my
Right.
sister saw them on my desk, and she's now finished both books, and they've really helped her.
Nice.
It's like, perked up just because she's getting higher skills in that area. So,
I
Yep.
imagine that has helped you. So we want to give our friends your book, because that way they will keep their 11 anxieties to themselves and not.
Well, you know what? If I can help somebody, like through this interview or through the book, and that's why I did it, because to me, one of my gifts is that I can see successful techniques that really, really work. And again, I go back to my friend this morning, and she goes, Elka, I've heard of similar, this is way better, this technique. So she was really happy with it, and she's feeling hopeful about it. So that's kind of cool, right? And that's what I think about. It's got to be easy, accessible, but it doesn't cost money. Even the things in Loving Your Life, the art things, are things you can find around your home. You don't have to go out and buy crazy materials.
and so if you want to leave our audience with some thoughts to hold them over, and I know you mentioned you have a new workshop coming up and everything else. What thoughts and resources would you like to leave our audience today?
Well, I thought of a couple things. Is practice. And I talk about that in the book, is life is practice. So all these things that we talk about is just practice. Don't worry about not getting it right. I didn't get it right on Tuesday. I didn't get it right last night, but I got other things right. So just practice, keep practicing. And the other thing is just to slow down and breathe and pause and trust yourself. Like, just really look at yourself, and that yes muscle will get stronger.
And again, could you repeat the best way to how to find you and your different resources? Because I know you're in a lot of media as well.
Well, the best is my website, and I'm not sure, does my name come up for this podcast? Do you?
It does. Yeah, there's a special page for you on Prepping for the Sharks, where we have a link to you, a link to watching this show and other previous shows, and we've got your web address in there and all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's the easiest, because there you can do a contact in the web page. It also, my website has where you can go buy the books. They're available in audio. Like I said, some of them are translated. So that's the super easiest. And if you just want to watch or listen to a podcast, you can get all that on the website. So that's the easiest. So thank you for asking.
Elke Scholz, ELKESCHOLZ.com. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
What I
Thank you.
this is an unsolicited comment, but what I recommend to people is, I don't know if you can see me here, but at the bottom left, like where my name is on here, you see I've got my web address there. I'm amazed at how many people don't put their web address right there. It's easy to do. You go to the three dots on Zoom, you click rename yourself, type in your web address, next to your name at the bottom, and you can always point to that. So
Yeah, so that works. Sure. I mean, I could do that. So if my name is coming up
so
on
just
the
put the
Zoom, it's just my name.com. So yeah.
there you
That
go.
makes it easy. And I know in Germany, it would be easy to say Elke, but it's Elka just because that's how they pronounce it in Germany, right?
Well, it's a short E.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't speak German. My mother did, but that's another story. But again, thank you so much.
And thank
Elke.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
thanks,
great.
guys.
Thank
It was a
you.
lot of fun. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Nice to
And
meet
we're
you.
preppingforthesharks.com. Please come visit us and all this great content like Elka's, as well as signing up for our 5-minute 5-point pitch challenge. It's a huge opportunity and so much more. Again, I'm Robert Browning with preppingforthesharks.com. And thanks, Burke and Fred. It's always a pleasure and a privilege.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Thank you.